seconds and counting.
Hey, what's good, yo? Welcome back to another video. I'm joined with DJ and E, and today we have some Rockets news for y'all. And in regards KJ Martin, and apparently he wants out of Houston there's kind of good reason for that. You know, there's already so many players on the roster. We drafted 3 more guys this offseason, right? And so KJ Martin's minutes are slowly dwindling, or the opportunities for him to play are dwindling. And so, according to Kelly Eco of The Athletic, he says the trade is best for all parties involved, and teams continue to monitor his situation in Houston. And to me, I feel like KJ, he's always shined when given his moments. Is whenever he started, I believe he had 17 points, 11 rebounds in his first start this past season. He's always known to be like an energetic player, like an emphatic dunker, known for his crazy highlight reel blocks. But what would you guys say that kind of limits KJ under some of the guys like Easton or Tate, other guys like Nawaba, Garuba? Like, how does that rotation with the forwards kind of get into play here?
Yeah, so basically we have a lot of forwards that we have we drafted. We got Jabari with the number 3 pick, we got Tari with the number 17 pick. Not to forget, we still have like Garuba, who a lot of guys are on our at least on our like coaching staff are still very like pretty high on. So it kind of makes, and not to, also like Jay Tate, we have a lot of guys that KJ would essentially compete for minutes with. And if we look at like an ideal depth chart, we can really only have like 4 of them play, 2 starters, 2 guys off the bench. So one person's probably going to get kicked out of the rotation, and that will probably be KJ Martin because he doesn't exactly do anything too well. With like Jabari, he's very versatile on defense and he shoots really well. With Tari, his motor is exceptional. He has great hands and like he's just an all around just a guy that you want to have with that motor who can just bring that energy to the team. Tate has a pretty good ball handling and underrated, playmaking ability, and he really improved on his 3-point shot. That's what a lot of the rumors, and not rumors, but like that's what a lot of like people are saying from this off season. And then with Garuba has that size, like that athleticism, and as well as just like his defensive like IQ. So with that being said, like with KJ, he's a really good guy in transition, but I feel like apart from that and his weak side shot blocking, there's not really anything that he essentially is really good at or that makes him stand out. And so for that reason, I feel like he would be the one who is kicked out of the lineup or out of the rotation and doesn't get much minutes. And honestly, to be honest, that's not really fair to him because he is really good, and I feel like he can definitely get solid minutes, like as like a 7th or 8th man on honestly any team that's not a rebuilding team, just a team that's like in the play-in, wants to make playoffs, or even like contenders. He can play really really well for in the limited minutes that he does get.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and especially like I want to just preface this before I say anything is that there's no hate towards KJ gonna be sent out right now, but I was advocating for him to start as well last season. So I just want to say this: like, if you compare the players that played a similar position, so we look at Gordon, Tate, Tari, and KJ. You can say that KJ is probably the worst defender there out of all those 4. So there's that, and then you can also look the fact that Tate can kind of play make, can kind of pass. He's a very underrated passer. He was 3rd in potential assists on the team last season, so it's more of like Tate gives you that option where he can play make. And then if you look at Tari, he gives you that option where he can just be that guy on the court that just leads the whole team pretty much and runs with everyone, and he's just very vocal. I haven't seen that yet from KJ. And then if you look at Gordon, he's probably the best 3-point shooter out of those 4. While KJ would probably be the 2nd best 3-point shooter, you also have the rumors that Tate's 3-point shot is developing nicely. And, that's going to be exciting to watch next season as well. But yeah, it's like he's just not as good as those guys, I feel like. But he has potential to become as good or even better. It's just more so like we don't really have the time and the assets to just wait for him to develop pretty much.
Yeah, it's a shame because like KJ, he has really good chemistry with some of the players, like for Shingun, for example, through his cutting, and KJ would always kind of make himself available for Shingun, and then they'd be like a dynamic duo in the front court. So it's like KJ, he kind of does some of the little things like that, like pretty well. I think he's a pretty good team player. He's like cleaning up the basket, getting rebounds. Yeah, I would really miss his like just sheer athleticism, like in transition as well. Like he would make a steal and then just like run up the court really really fast and then like make a highlight reel or a post or someone. So I mean, we're definitely gonna miss that from KJ, but I just kind of worry about his future, because if he's already kind of struggling to get minutes on a rebuilding team, how is he gonna kind of get those minutes from another team? And especially his dad. His dad, Kenyon Martin Sr., of course, he wants him to go to a contending team in particular. So how he's going to get minutes there, hopefully they don't have as much forward depth on those teams, which kind of gives way to KJ. But KJ is a talented dude. Of course, he's still very young. I wish him the best. But some of the teams that are rumored to be interested in KJ are the Trailblazers and the Nets. Are there any other teams that you had in mind in regards to a trade for KJ?
Right. So, like, as you mentioned, there are like teams like the Trailblazers, the Nets, and honestly, anyone who just needs like some backup four who can play like a seventh, eighth man minutes, play like 15 to like 20 minutes a night. A team would like KJ. He's not bad on offense or defense. He's not a liability per se, but he's not going to be the best. And again, he's very young. I'm pretty sure he's still only 21 years old. And with some veteran leadership and a system like an offense that is set and that has its own like plays and everything. Because KJ plays within the offense. He doesn't get his buckets through like certain plays. No, he'll get the buckets by crashing the glass, by getting his boards, by running in transition and stuff like that. So a team will always like that because if you have someone who can just run down the court as soon as you get a rebound and you can quickly make that open pass to, and they have the highlight, and he's also someone who like fans are just gonna like because of his highlights, his dunks, and his posters and everything. So like you mentioned, the Trailblazers were one that's interested. I don't really understand why or how because I feel like the Trailblazers possess the same problem that the Rockets have in the sense that they have quite a bit of depth at that 3-4 position. They just traded for Jeremy Grant, who's going to have like the majority of those like 3-4 minutes. And then they still have like Trent Wofford, who was just a summer league MVP, who plays the four. And then they have Nazir Little, who's a really good defender, who a lot of Blazer fans are really high on still. And so they still have like a couple like young guys and also some veterans, established veterans who are getting a lot of minutes. So I don't really understand where KJ would fit, but the Blazers are interested, and for the right package, I can definitely see that working out.
I mean, the Blazers situation is tricky, but I'm just gonna take it to New York here for a bit and feel like I'm repeating myself from last year when we were just talking about getting Cam Reddish to Houston. But it's back. It's time to talk about bringing Cam Reddish to Houston again, pretty much. So yeah, I would love to get Cam Reddish. I don't know what it would cost. I saw a trade that said Sterling Brown, Kenyon Martin Jr. 2 seconds for Cam Reddish. So I feel like that's a bit too much, but also it's just like the Knicks don't need him. So definitely there could be a middle ground. And it's good for the Knicks because imagine having Obi Toppin and KJ just running up and down the court, dunking every ball and then blocking every ball on the other side. And for us, you get Cam Reddish, who's a good scorer. He can play defense a little bit and kind of play the two if we need him to. So the lock that's happening on the 3-4 position won't really be affected because Cam can just like hop into two and get some minutes there as well. We can keep it in New York for the Brooklyn pick, for the Brooklyn trade, is that I would love to get Claxton back, but I was just seeing like how we can do it. And it's pretty hard with just being KJ for Claxton since there's going to be financial complications because Claxton is making 8.4 million, I'm pretty sure. We have to like send more money back to Brooklyn because we're not a tax-paying team. So I know how that would work out, but I feel like a trade between KJ for Claxton somehow would be beneficial for both teams. Like both teams can benefit from that. The Nets pretty much anyone at this point. I feel like they could use as long as you're young, because they're probably gonna get rid of KD and Kyrie eventually. I just don't believe that that's not gonna happen. And of course, for us, Claxton is a big man that can defend, lob threat as well. So it's just adding that versatility to this team would be great for both the development of KPJ and the development of Jalen Green. So yeah, I would love to get Claxton on this team.
You were speaking about like the big man depth, and I honestly think that that is exactly what the Rockets should be looking for in return. With the Nets, actually, if we don't get Claxton, I also don't mind getting a guy like Dayron Sharp. He is also a bit undersized. I think he's only like 6'9" or 6'10", but he plays very well above the rim. He's a pretty good defender. He's also on a rookie deal since he was a second round pick. So he's essentially making the same amount of money as KJ Martin. And with the Nets already having Claxton, and perhaps they bring back someone, or they just sign another center and op in free agency, so they'll have their center minutes. If they don't exactly plan on playing Dayron Sharp, they could trade us and get a backup four in KJ. Another, a center that I think the Rockets could trade for is perhaps like to Charlotte for Nick Richards, with the Hornets now drafting Mark Williams with the 15th pick, and he's probably going to be their backup center or even starting center, depending on if they want to have Plumlee over him. So they're probably going to kick out Nick Richards from the lineup, and you never know. With the whole Miles Bridges situation that's going on, if they don't exactly decide to bring him back, if he's like with whatever lawsuits he's facing, then they have a hole at that four position. And along with PJ Washington, I feel like KJ Martin could definitely be a guy who excels well alongside a team that loves to run in transition, and he'll do really well next to LaMelo Balls. And so, maybe getting like Nick Richards and like 2 second-round picks, I think the Rockets should definitely take that deal. Richards is a pretty good like offensive center. He's also very like big and tall, so he can definitely work on his defensive game. And honestly, that's exactly what we need, because for our like center depth, we really only have Sengun, and then Garuba's kind of undersized, and then Boban on our team is, I think he's like kind of old and slow. He's honestly just there for like locker room and like to like help mentor these young guys. So if we could bring in like a straight like 7-footer big man who can just play above the rim, play some help defense and everything, I think the Rockets would really, really improve with that, and it would be a good trade for both teams. This is my favorite trade with Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I think the Charlotte one's I guess, the most realistic. As far as KJ's value, it just seems like hard to predict. You don't know how much you'll get, so I feel like if you get anything more than 2 seconds, that's already a steal. Because KJ, like as good as he is, like I feel like if there was a redraft with KJ, he would go be a lottery pick. But at the same time, like if we were offered 2 seconds for KJ, I would just take that, because who knows? Because you're already getting more than you like gave up to get KJ, which is just a second round pick. So I mean, I think I think a deal for KJ would just be mainly pick based, because as a team we're already struggling with roster minutes. So unless it's a backup big, like you said, I feel like it'd be hard to like kind of acquire a player. So we'll see about that. But let us know what your thoughts are on this KJ Martin situation. Where do you want him to go? And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Thank y'all for watching. Peace.